It is a new video of what I'm going to call the Franken scooter. So what we have here, basically what we have is a case of two scooters I'm going to make into one. I've got a parts bike here, as you can see. I'm not going to get into detail because what it is the state of Nevada in its infinite wisdom, and I gotta say that they needed to do this. Scooters were getting stolen, and basically what it was the scooter riders bought any scooter that they really wanted to, as long as they were 50 cc's, or at least they had, stickers on the side that said 50 cc or 49 cc's. Then the cops would leave them alone because they just said, yeah, those are scooters. But in reality, the law says that it can't go so fast or it can't have so much power. And so back 4 or 5 years ago, they didn't care. The police, nobody cared. They just, if they were 50 cc scooters, you just got on them and rode them. No insurance, no registration, no helmet or motorcycle classification was needed. Just basically buy it and ride it. It was wonderful, but the problem was they started to proliferate so much that people had them on the sides of sidewalks, chained up to lamp posts. They had them, just anywhere. They were kind of getting everywhere. And the second problem, and probably the biggest problem, was they were getting stolen. And you steal one and you can ride it. Who knows who owns it, unless you were smart enough to take the VIN number down and keep it on record, so if it did get stolen, at least you could give a stolen VIN number. So what the state did was said, hey, let's just require them to be registered. It was a good idea. They went further than I thought they would do, which is just a one-time registration. You just register it the first time, and it's registered for as long as you own it. You could have it for 30 years and you're never going to go back in and pay a re-registration, nor do you have to have insurance, nor do you have to have a Nevada driver's license that says you can ride a motorcycle. Before, it was just you had to have a regular license. If you had the license to drive a car, you can drive the scooter. Now it's the same, but you have to wear a helmet, which is okay. I can give the helmet part of it, but here's the problem. When they set up the law, they didn't realize that all of these scooters out here don't have a title. Nobody had a title. You just bought them and rode them. The title just got kind of thrown into your upper drawer in your dresser or wherever and got lost. And so therein lies the problem. You have scooters with no titles. The state saying that they need proof of ownership in the form of a title. And the biggest part that affects, I think, more people is that now they're running the manufacturer model number on a computer, and the computer is coming back and saying whether or not it puts out, I believe it's 1.5 horsepower or 2.5, or there's 2 or 3 factors that make it a scooter, classified as a scooter in Nevada, or a motorcycle. And this is a Yamaha Zuma, 50cc Yamaha Zuma, very popular. Between this and the Honda Ruckus, which I believe is also considered a motorcycle now. So that's the problem. The big problem is the titling, okay, we could work through that. The registration, hey, that's awesome. One time, I think it was $45, and you're off and running, and you don't need to have insurance. You don't have to have the motorcycle classification. You do have to wear a helmet. Well, that's all great and dandy, but the problem is 90% of the scooters out here aren't considered scooters anymore. That's the problem. So I am going to make a scooter out of a Zuma again. I'm going to take some parts off the Zuma. I'm going to make a Frankencycle. I'm going to take the better parts of both the Tao Tao 50, which is what I'm going to show you next, and the Zuma. I'm going to do away with the oil injection. I'm just going to start mixing gas and oil, and then I'll keep a little, like a 1 ounce or however much it'll take to fill a tank, fill this fuel tank. I'll keep couple little jars under the seat of the amount of oil I need to throw in on an empty tank, and then just fill it up at the gas station. So here is the project. I mean, the Zuma has unbelievable front brakes, hydraulic front brakes, much better tires and forks. So the swap is going to be in the front with the forks. The back, I'm going to use the Zuma motor and drivetrain. Now, is this legal? I'm not sure. I don't know. I've got a plate for my Tao Tao 50, and it's going to be on the Tao Tao frame, and I would assume it's probably gray area, but I'm just, before this was not even an issue. You just bought one and drove it. Now it's a little more complicated, but on top of that, it cuts out so many really nice scooters. So this is the Tao Tao. Now I have all the plastics for the Tao Tao. That's the Tao Tao. And it looks really similar, but as you can see, the forks are almost the same size, but look how spindly the front wheel, and the brake might even be as good as the Yamaha. It almost looks like it's a knockoff. I'm going to learn a lot more as time goes on, but for right now, this will be my base motorcycle or scooter, and I'm going to start swapping over the parts. So off we go on to another adventure. Got most of the stuff off the back of the Tao Tao. All the wiring off. I'm going to pull this whole engine rear wheel assembly. Now the Yamaha is getting stripped down. It's got a different way of mounting. So I might have to take this whole bracket off this tube on either side. The beginning of getting this tube out of the Zuma frame. Made some initial cuts here. It's going to be kind of difficult, but I think getting the most of it out and then just nibble away at it. So here it is. And now, try to get this out. And it's loose. Gotta get it out of there, but Phase A. This is ready to come out now. Just cut it down there. Cut this. And cut that in there. And there it is. It's part B. So what I have to do here is I've got the back lifted up, and I think That's fairly close to where it would be, with the rear tire and front tire on. This part looks fairly level. This part looks fairly level. So now the question is, where do I put the fork rake at? I mean, it wants to fit this way, which is way too forward. So there's the bend in this is half the bend that was there before. So it's kind of at this angle here. So, I mean, I can fabricate something, but I'm thinking now, do I want to actually put it a little forward? Which would give me like it would push the steering stem straight up and down, so I would have to kick it out. So if I kicked it out, I don't want a chopper, but I'm trying something custom. Here, so I don't necessarily know if I'm really going to end up with a scooter type setup if I put the forks angled a little more forward. And also, does that put the handlebars up or down? And I'm typically going to try to lower the bars. I might even weld the bars back on and get them more of an aggressive. I might even have pegs instead of having, just your feet sitting somewhere. So there's a lot to figure out here. And so I've just got to probably tack something together, maybe even reassemble the front and rear end and see how it looks. So a lot of sitting and thinking. So there's a lot of, I guess, people at home during this time where everybody's pretty much locked down to their house, which hasn't really affected me much. I mean, it has in a great way, a lot, but I at least am lucky enough to have a project to work on other than just sitting in home and watching TV. And really, I think the government right now should do one thing first and foremost, and that's give everybody free television. If you have cable of any kind, it should be free, and immediately everything bumped up to everything you want. You can watch any movie you want. You don't pay for it. Pay the copyright. Pay the people. It's kind of a bailout for the movie industry, which is hurting right now, which doesn't hurt me at all. I mean, I really don't think any of the shit that they produce is accurate, or it's just a lot of propaganda. But a lot of movies are really good and entertaining, so you got to hand it to them for that. So I'm just saying, you're forcing everyone in the house. Come on, give everybody Netflix, give everybody HBO, and at least stuff. At least let's see them step up and do something. Just do something. Okay, now I'll get off my soapbox. Except we've got sheep. Yes, we have sheep, and we're watching the market. Let's see where is it at now? It's still down 690 or 680. So what I'm doing is I'm gonna post this up because there's people who are sitting at home and are waiting in Shingletown for something to watch this evening. So I'm gonna go ahead and just put a smaller part one to this. And so again, what it is a Zuma scooter and a Tao Tao scooter being put into one. So most of this is Zuma, and if you didn't know this right here was the Tao Tao, then you wouldn't know. So I don't know whether this is regular or not, but neither bike is stolen. I've got titles to both, so I don't care. I've got to fix this, I had to basically weld all this up, just tack weld it, so that I could get it on the stand and remount the rear wheel and engine and the front wheel and steering system so I could see if it was straight. And I can't believe it's straight. I mean, it's straight. Now, the shaft's a little bent, but it actually goes in there, and I'm not going to mess with it. This is just going to be a beater, get around, cool scooter. And if I ever, feel the need to straighten the steering stem, the stem inside's got a little bent, and I think what it is I figured it out. There's a lock, and I think it got locked, and somebody tried to jam it, tried to steal the bike, and just really bent on the lock in here, which in essence kind of bent the shaft a little. So that was my best estimate on that. But so I've got just a couple spot welds. I've got everything on here that would give me the read and give me the ability to say it's straight. I look down the wheels and the tires. So now the next part, which will be part 2, is going to be of how to customize this frame to accept kind of a smaller seat, retain a gas tank. There's not a lot of electrical, but and then what to do about the motor to hot rod it a bit. So in the next segment, there'll be a lot going on here. I'm going to reuse these wheels because I love them. I love the Zuma wheel and tire setup. I've got like 3 70cc kits, so I know I'm going to put at least that in because I've done that many times. And I don't know, maybe a diamond plate, or maybe just pegs, just some foot pegs. I don't need to retain the scooter sort of feel, I know I'm going to cut this. I'm going to cut this off here and here, and I'm going to bring these bars down 2 inches. That alone is going to be kind of cool, I think, depending on where the seat ends up. So I think the seat is kind of the limiting factor on where I'm going to end up with my bars. And also, I'm going to put a flat bar across. It's going to be a little more racy. So on the next episode, we'll see what happens with the Franken scooter, and I'll see you on the next video.